Good day, sir. For this morning, I'll be discussing the reaction paper for the uploaded file. So let me present my screen. Okay, I hope you can see it clearly. So for the reaction paper, so this is the topic or the paper uploaded is the license to kill. Artificial artificial intelligence in weapon systems and new challenges for arms control. So this reaction paper consists of several parts. If I'm not mistaken, there will be part 10 parts, and each part has questions. I think 3 or 4 questions. Okay, so for part one, this is about the opening reflection. So the first question is, what is the main idea of the paper? So the main idea of the paper is about introducing what we call laws or lethal autonomous weapon systems. So laws do not just assist humans, they replace the human decision making in most critical moments of war. So if I'm not mistaken, this was already used by the US or in Iran in this current war. So how can we differentiate the laws to the traditional or conventional method? So in conventional method, or this is wherein the human is part of the loop. Okay. So we start with the human observes, wherein the operators collect and analyze information, and then the human decides, wherein the human interpret the situation and chooses a target. And then human authorizes. So the human gives the final approval, and then weapon engages, wherein the weapon is activated to engage the target. Humans make the critical decisions. Meaningful human control is maintained throughout the targeting cycle. For a while, sir, I'll just be uh, due to the noises. For a while, for a second. Okay, sorry for the disruption. So I'll continue again. So those what I explained is the traditional weapon or the traditional method wherein the human is part of the loop. However, in the laws wherein this is the method wherein or the system wherein humans are out of the loop. So what is the procedure? So the system observes. So meaning that the sensors collect data from the environment and the AI analyzes, wherein the artificial intelligence processes the data and then the AI decides and selects the target, wherein the system independently chooses the target. And then the weapon engages, wherein the weapon is activated without the human intervention. So in laws, the system makes the critical decisions wherein there is no loop, there is no human in the loop. So these are the complete targeting cycle of loss. So it starts with it starts with the finding, wherein the system searches the environmental parameters using the sensors, including the radar, the camera, signals, etc., to detect the potential targets. And next is fixing, wherein the system confirms the target's presence and estimates its location. And then tracking, wherein the system continuously monitors and tracks the target's movement. And then selecting, the system evaluates options and selects the target based on the algorithm and mission objectives. And lastly, that is the engage, wherein the system executes at the attack and engages the target without human intervention. So these 5 steps are the targeting cycle of uh, human, no human in the loop method or the loss. So question number 2, what caught my attention the most in the paper? So this is about the autonomy in lethal decision making. Okay, so meaning AI system can independently identify, select, and engage targets without human intervention. And then the machine decides wherein the AI analyzes the data and decides when and whom to kill. And then human values at risk, meaning that it removes the empathy, the morality, and ethical judgment from life or death decisions. And lastly, the legal and moral challenges, wherein the current laws and ethics were designed for humans and not for machines. So yeah, this is the what I really caught in the paper. So question number 3, how does this topic relate to my field or experience as an electronics engineer? So AI weapons or AI powered weapons are not just software. They are built on electronic system, which this is our this is our um, expertise. These electronic systems can sense, can think, can decide, and can act in milliseconds. And as an electronics engineer, this topic connects directly to my core skills, solutions, and responsibility. So in this system, okay, this is where we are involved. First is about sensing or acquiring the data, wherein the sensors or the laws used different sensors, radar, cameras, LiDAR, and signal acquisition systems collect real-time data from the environment. So our role as an electronics engineer is to design sensor interfaces, signal conditioning, conversion of data, analog to digital, digital to analog, and data acquisition circuits, high speed, low noise analog design, power management for field sensors. Next is about the processing and computing, wherein the involved core concepts is about the embedded processors, FPGAs, GPUs, run AI algorithms to detect, classify, and predict targets. Our role is for the embedded system design, PCB layout and hardware architecture, the FPGA and SoC design, high performance computing interfaces, and thermal and power optimization. And lastly, decide autonomously, so meaning that the system makes decision in microseconds without human intervention. So uh, our role is based on real-time hardware acceleration, low latency data paths, a fault-tolerant and reliable hardware architecture, verification and validation of electronic systems. And then in terms of acting or executing, so it involves the actuators, motor drivers, power electronics, and control circuits that execute the command. So our part regarding on this subtopic is the power electronics and motor control, actuator and driver circuits, precision control systems, EMI or EMC and protection circuits, robust hardware for extreme conditions. And lastly, to the part of communication and communicating and adapting. So we secure or uh, it involves the security of communication link, transmit data, receive updates, and adapt to the battlefield. So our role is regarding on the radio frequency and antenna design, communication protocols hardware, encryption and secure modules, EMI, EMC compliance, and reliable links in contested environments. So as you can see, the main topic is very relevant or very um, applicable to electronics engineering field. So part two is about understanding the system. So for this part, so we have question number 4. So if I interpret the system described in the paper as an engineering systems, how would I describe its inputs, outputs, and processes? So based on the paper, the inputs are based from the environmental signals, wherein the data from sensors and surveillance systems from the radar, satellite imagery, acoustic sensors, infrared or thermal, and LiDAR. And then the battlefield intelligence, wherein the real-time and historical information can be processed, okay, to determine the enemy location, terrain data, threats report. So this can be your input to the system, enemy behavior, allied forces status, etc. And then it can be also historical data sets for training the AI. So large scale data sets used to train and improve AI models, including the past missions, weapon effectiveness, engagement outcomes, environmental data. And then from input, it will be processed. So first one is the data reprocessing and filtering. So meaning that the raw data is cleaned, filtered, and fused for better accuracy. Then AI inference, wherein the AI models analyze the data to understand the situation. So it could be pattern recognition, object detection, classification, and threat assessment. And then next, it can be processed regarding on the decision-making algorithms, wherein the system evaluates options and prioritizes targets based on the mission objectives and rules, including the target prioritization, risk assessment, rules of engagement, and resource allocation. And finally, after the process, there will be an output. So it could be the movement commands, wherein the navigation and positioning commands for units or platforms, target selection, wherein the selected and prioritized targets with coordinates and engagement strategy. And then lastly, engagement, which is the attack execution, wherein the execution of the attack using the appropriate weapon system. So based from these are the input, process, and output of the presented paper. Next, do I think that the system behaves more like a linear system or nonlinear system or hybrid system, and why? So for me, this is combination. The loss is a combination of linear and nonlinear system. So it makes it a hybrid system. So why linear? Because linear are these are the systems that are predictable, proportional, and well-defined. So meaning in terms of the signal acquisition from radar or IR sensors, the output is proportional to the input signals. And filtering and signal conditioning, so meaning that it uses linear operations, for example, convolution, amplification, etc. And then tracking system, often modeled using linear estimators, for example, is the Kalman filters. So for the linear, these parts are predictable, governed by fixed equations, and often time invariant. And then for the nonlinear systems naman, these are the parts of the nonlinear system of law. The AI decision making, or in the pattern recognition, classification using deep learning, and then target prioritization, multi-objective, context-dependent decision. And in terms of the learning and adaptation, the system improves from the data and changes of time. So these parts are nonlinear, uncertain, and data-dependent and time-varying. So with the combination of the linear parts and nonlinear parts, so we have the hybrid, wherein from the sensing, it is a continuous to decide, wherein it discrete or nonlinear, and to act, and that is continuous. So continuous linear processes plus nonlinear decision making plus discrete decisions plus adapting learning is a hybrid system. Next, where do I see feedback in the system? So the first one is the AI decision feedback loop, wherein the system learns from outcomes and improves future decisions. So it starts with the sensing, wherein the sensor collect environmental signals. Two, processing, wherein the data pre-processing and filtering, and then AI decide, wherein the AI inference and decision making, and then act, wherein it execute commands, and then outcome, it observe results, whether it hits or it misses or regarding on the damages. So there is a new information, and that will be the feedback for the AI. So the feedback in the function of the feedback is about to learn and to improve the decisions of the AI model. So the outcome data is used to update the model and the decision policies. And then it will go back again to the process, to the decision, action, and the outcome. And then another feedback again until it became better and better in terms of the decision. Next is the human in the loop feedback. So in the human in the loop feedback, so it starts with the sensing, wherein the sensor collect environmental signals and then processing, wherein the data pre-processing and filtering. So it's the same with the AI loop, and then AI decision. So AI inference and select target action. But there is a human review before it acts. So for the human review, the operator reviews the AI recommendation, applies the judgment, and then approves or modifies or even abort. So it can approve based on the AI output. So the human will now select whether this be approved. Is there anything to modify, or do we need to abort the mission, etc. And then based from that, there will be an action wherein it execute the command. Let us uh, from the human review and then feedback again. There are some loops. So it could be feedback to the human wherein it can, especially if there is anything to modify, it could be feedback from the process or it could be feedback from the sensor itself. So in feedback loop, outcome data and operator inputs are used to improve feature sensing, processing, AI decision, and rules of engagement. And then another one is the control system feedback. This is the engineering layer. So continuous feedback is used to correct deviations and keep the system stable and on the target. So it could start again, it will start on sensing, wherein the sensors measure current state, the position, example position, the speed, orientation, etc. And then processing, wherein the system estimates the current state and compares with the desired state. And then error calculations. So error calculation will be based from the desired state minus the current state. And then action control. The control generates corrections and sends commands to actuation and then execution, wherein the actuators execute the commands to change the system state, and then there will be a feedback. So this is the feedback loop. Update state is measured again and by the sensors and feedback to the system for continuous correction. So, and lastly, this is the adaptive learning feedback or the long-term learning. So the system learns from experience over multiple missions to improve future performance. So it starts on the sensing, followed by the processing, and then AI decide, and then based on the decision of the AI, it will act, it will execute the commands, and then the outcomes, observe results, hit miss, do we have a damage, etc. And then there will be a learn and adopt feedback loop. So, and then it goes back again to the sensor. So, improve knowledge and models for better future decisions. But this is more on the long term since it needs to finish first the mission. Okay, and those results will be used for the upcoming missions. That's why this is part, or this is called a long-term learning. Part 3. So part 3 focuses on the stability control and system behavior. So question number 7. So from a systems perspective, what does the stability mean in this context? So stability means that the system remains in control and behaves predictably over time. So even when faced with disturbances, uncertainties, or changes the environment. So what stability means in this context? So first is the bounded behavior, meaning that the system outputs, for example, position, the speed, orientation, stay within the safe and expected limits. Disturbance rejection, meaning that the system can withstand external disturbances, for example, wind, noise, sensor errors, etc., and return to the desired behavior. Convergence, after a deviation, the system returns to its desired state or trajectory over time. Robustness, it maintains performance despite model uncertainties, component variations, and unexpected conditions. And lastly, safe and predictable, wherein the system responses are reliable and do not lead to dangerous or unintended outcomes. So, question number 8. So, do I think increasing autonomy makes the system more stable or less stable? Explain my reasoning. So, based on 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 my research, increasing the autonomy will not guarantee that your system will become more stable or will become less stable. So the answer is it depends. For example, increasing autonomy can make the system more stable. The outcome will be having a faster response, wherein the autonomous systems react in milliseconds, reducing the delays and preventing instability caused by slow human reaction or human action. Next is consistent execution, meaning that the autonomy removes human variability, fatigue, and errors, leading to more predictable behavior. And then continuous monitoring and control. So autonomy system can monitor and adjust continuously, keeping the system within safe bounds. And lastly, handles complexity. Autonomy can manage complex, dynamic environments that human cannot process effectively, improving overall stability. And there are systems that when you increase autonomy, it becomes less stable. How come? So first is unpredictable behavior. So meaning that the autonomy, the autonomous decision may be hard to predict or understand, increasing the risk of undesired or unstable actions. And the next is error amplification. The autonomous systems can act faster than the humans can intervene. So small errors can escalate quickly. Loss of um, situational awareness, wherein high autonomy may reduce human awareness of the system, leading to the delayed detection of problems. And then we have also the model and data limitations, wherein the autonomy relies on models and data. If they are wrong or incomplete, the system can behave incorrectly or become unstable. So if I were to apply control theory, how would I ensure that the system remains safe and stable? So let's discuss first the feedback control loop. So keep the system safe and stable by continuously measuring, comparing, correcting, and monitoring. So for example, from the reference, so you have the desired safe state or command, and then it will go to the comparator, wherein it compared the desired state with the actual state, and then controller, it compute the control action to reduce the error, and then the system platform or environment, and then output wherein the actual measured state, and then feedback again. So measure the system state and environment, and then it will goes to the summing operation of the feedback and control, and then this output, and then so it is a repetition. And then in terms of Lyapunov concept, so it says that always move toward safety and stability. So every action should reduce risk and error and bring the system closer to the desired safe state. So first is you set a goal. So you have to define what safe looks like. So this is your desired states, a safe state, and then measure and check. So measure where the system is right now and check the difference from the goal. So this difference is called an error. Take action. The controller decides the best action to reduce the risk of error and to reduce the error and risk. So every action is chosen to make things better. And then move closer to the goal, wherein the system responds. We check again and repeat the process. So repeat until it reaches the safe state. So the loop will continuously done or processed. Part 4. So AI integration and learning. So question 10. What role does artificial intelligence play in the system's behavior? So these are the key roles of AI in system behavior. First is the perception, wherein it sees and it senses the environment better than the traditional use. And the next is the situation understanding, meaning it understands the context, it identifies the objects, it predicts the events, and it also detects risks. And then intelligence decision making, wherein it chooses the best action, considering goals, constraints, uncertainty, and safety. And then next is the adaptability, wherein it adjusts to the new environment, changing conditions, and unexpected situations. Next is continuous improvement, wherein it learns from the data and experience to improve accuracy, efficiency, and the outcomes. And then lastly, the safety and reliability, wherein it helps enforce the rules, avoid dangerous actions, and ensure mission success. Question number 11. How does learning Okay, I apologize. So, question 11. How does learning or adaptation change the system compared to the traditional linear systems? So, in traditional linear systems, based on the behavior, there are fixed rules wherein it follows the pre-programmed rules and equations. However, with the system with learning, okay, it learns and improves. It learns from the data and experience and improves over time. In terms of handling the change, so the traditional linear system are predictable and rigid, meaning that the output is predictable but cannot handle new situations well. However, in the system with learning, it is adaptive and flexible, meaning it adapts to the new situations, uncertainty, and changing environment. In terms of improvement, the traditional linear system has no learning, meaning that the performance stays the same unless reprogrammed by the humans. But in system with learning, it has a continuous improvement. It gets better and better with more data, feedback, and experience. And then for the complexity, okay, the traditional linear system needs exact model wherein it requires an accurate mathematical model of the system. In terms of the system with learning, it handles complexity better. So meaning it works even when the system is complex or not fully understood. And then lastly, in terms of the robustness for the traditional linear system, it is sensitive to disturbances. So small changes can cause errors. However, in the systems with learning, more robust, meaning it learns to reduce errors and handle disturbances better. Next question. Do I think AI makes the system more effective, more efficient, or does it introduce new uncertainties and why? So, yes, the answer will be yes. The AI makes the system more efficient because it has faster decisions. The AI analyzes data quickly and responds in real time. It also has better accuracy, meaning that the AI detects patterns humans might miss, meaning it could be resulting to reduction of errors, and then continuous improvement, meaning the AI learns data from the AI learns from data and experiences, getting better over time, and then higher automation. AI handles complex tasks and routine work efficiently, and then optimized resources. AI uses time, energy, and resources more effectively. But the AI can also introduce new uncertainties. Why? Because in terms of unpredictable behavior, so AI can behave in unexpected ways, so especially in the new situations. Data and bias issues, meaning that the data depends on the data, which may be incomplete, it could be biased or it could be wrong. Lack of explainability, so AI decisions can be hard to understand or explain. errors at scale. So small errors can grow quickly and causes big impacts. And then security and adaptation risks, meaning that the AI system can be attacked or misused by the other. So meaning that the AI increases efficiency, but also brings new uncertainties. Part 5, signals, data, and decision making. So what type of data or signals does the system rely on? So these are the main types of data or signals. Sensor data. So the sensor data, so real world data from sensors that observe the environment. Example, camera images, imagery, or video, LiDAR point clouds, radar returns, audio and sound signals, temperature, pressure, light, etc. And then state data, information about the system's current condition. Example, the position, velocity, or attitude, orientation, speed, and acceleration, battery level, system health status, and then command or input signals. These are the instructions or goals given to the system. Example, the mission objectives, waypoint or target locations, operator commands, mode selection, and start, stop, or resume. And then communication data. So these are the data received from or sent to the other system or operators. So these are the data from other vehicles, GPS signals, telemetry, operator messages, and network status. Next is map and model data. So pre-built and or learned representations of the real world. Example, maps, two-dimensional or three-dimensional, terrain or environmental models, object databases, no-fly zones, and prior knowledge. And then lastly, historical or experience data. These are the past data used for learning and improvement. Example, past missions or logs, success or failure cases, sensor history, performance data, feedback records, etc. Next question number 14. How does the system transform data into the decisions? So how it works from the feedback loop. So from the environment, it collects the data, it prepares the data, it understands the data, and then think and reason, and then decide, and then act, and then the system actuates. And then there will be a feedback again towards the environment. So to the collection of data, again, sensors and systems gather raw data from the environment. So images, video, sound, the position, the GPS, temperature, pressure, etc. And then in terms of the preparation of data, it clean and filter and organize the data so it can be used. Example, remove the noise, fill missing data, normalize the data, etc. Then understand the data. So define patterns, detect objects, estimate the current state. So object detected, the speed is 50 km per hour, obstacle ahead, and then think and the reason. So evaluate the situation, compare options, and predict the outcomes. Example, which path is safest, what is the risk, what happens if, etc. And then decide. So choose the best action based on the goals, the rules, and the constraints. So choose path A, avoid obstacles, save energy, etc. And then act. Send commands to the system or actuators to execute a decision. For example, move forward, turn left, stop, etc. Next question 15. What could go wrong if the input data is noisy, biased, or manipulated? So if there are too much data noise, okay, so meaning that there are random errors or fluctuations in the data. If the input is noisy, the system interpretation will be clouded. Okay, so for example, the sensor readings with random spikes or errors, so harder to detect the true pattern of the state. So meaning that the outcome will have unreliable decisions, instability, and more mistakes. Example, a drone's altitude sensor is noisy. It may shake, overcorrect, or crash. The result, lower accuracy, more errors, and poor performance. If the data is biased, so meaning that the data is unbalanced or not representative of the real world data. So for example, ang input ay biased. So data overrepresents some groups or conditions. So in terms of the system interpretation, it learns a skewed or incomplete understanding. And then the outcome will be unfair or inaccurate decisions for some situations or people. Example, training data has mostly daytime, so daytime images. So the system fails at night. So it's because the data, um, you allow the data to process um, daytime images. So when it receives nighttime images, it doesn't know how to react. That's why you will have an error or unstable output or outcome. So the result will be unfair, limited, or unreliable decisions in real situations. And then lastly, if you have manipulated data, meaning that the data is intentionally changed or faked to deceive the system. So meaning the input is false or altered, meaning that this altered data enters the system and then it will be processed. So based on the system interpretation, it believes false information as the truth, and then the outcome is dangerous, wrong, or harmful decisions. For example, fake GPS signal, vehicle thinks it's the wrong location, etc. So the result is the system can be tricked, misled, or used in harmful ways. Part 6, Risk, Robustness, and Security Reflection. Question 16, what are the biggest risks of the system discussed in the paper? So there are 10 risks. First is about unreliable or poor quality data, wherein these are from the noisy or incomplete or inaccurate data leads to the wrong decisions, or small errors can grow and cause big problems. Impact, the system makes unreliable or unsafe choices. The second one is about bias and unfair outcomes, wherein the biased data or models can treat people or groups unfairly. So it can lead to ethical or legal issues. So the impact is unfair decisions and loss of trust. Next is the lack of explainability. So AI decisions may be hard to understand or explain. So it is also a harder to debug, harder to audit, and harder to improve. So meaning that low transparency and accountability. Next is the model learning failure. So meaning that the model may not be generalized to new situations. Performance can drop suddenly, so impact wrong decisions, instability, or even failure. And then the fifth one is the adversarial attacks and manipulation. So the attackers can fool or manipulate the system or its data. So it can cause the system to act in harmful ways. So the impact is the system can be tricked, misused, and taken over. The next one is the security and stability risks, wherein the system may behave unexpectedly in edge cases. Small disturbances can lead to unsafe states. So the impact is the physical or operational safety hazards. Next is distribution shift and changing environments, meaning that the real world conditions change over time. Model trained on past data may no longer work well. So impact the performance degrades in new conditions. And then 8 is the computational and resource limits. So high computing needs, memory, or energy usage, delays can affect real-time performance. So impacts lower response or system overload, and then over-reliance on automation. So people may trust the system too much. Human judgment may be reduced or ignored. So the impact is missed problems and loss of human oversight. And then lastly, the privacy and data security, wherein the insensitive data can expose and leaked. Risks of hacking, unauthorized access, and misuse. Impact, loss of privacy, financial and reputational harm. Question 17, from a systems engineering perspective, how can we make the system more robust? So key strategies for a more robust system. First is to understand the requirements and context, meaning engage stakeholders, understand the real world conditions and constraints, and then define clear and measurable requirements. And then good data is the foundation. So ensure data quality, meaning accurate, complete, and timely. So reduce noise and errors, checks for bias and representativeness. And then next is the modular and simple design. So use modular architecture, keep components simple and loosely coupled, and follow design standards. And then redundancy and fault tolerances. So meaning add redundancy for critical functions, detect failures early, provide safe fallback or graceful degradation. And the next is test, verify, and validate. Or in test in many scenarios, including worst cases, verify against requirements, validate in real-world conditions. So meaning that find problems, early reduce surprises. Monitor and observe. So meaning that the monitor system health and performances, use logs, metrics, and alerts, detect anomalies early. So meaning that you can see whatever is happening and then you can act faster. Adapt and learn safely. So enable learning with guardrails, validate updates before deployment, use feedback to improve, so meaning that you can improve over time without losing and control. Security, and last is security and privacy by design. So protects the data and models from attacks, control access and permissions, respect privacy and compliance. So meaning that it protects people data and the system. So and then you can apply across the system lifecycle. So from planning to designing to building to testing, deploying and operating. And then there should be a feedback, continuously feedback, so that it can define the goal, and then you can have a better architecture, etc. Question 18. So how would I design safeguards or fail-safe mechanism for this system? So first is input validation and data quality. So meaning that you validate range, format, and consistency. Detect and filter the noise, outliers, and anomalies. And then redundancy, diversity, meaning redundant sensors, models, and components, diverse data sources, and algorithm. So help monitoring and anomaly detection. So meaning that monitors system data and model health, detect drift, degradation, or unusual behavior. And the next is safely constraints and limits, so meaning enforce hard limits on action and outputs, respect physical, legal, and ethical boundaries. And the next is the fail-safe modes and defaults. So define the safe default state when uncertainty is high, graceful degradation over shutdown, and then human oversight and control. So keep humans in the loop for critical decisions, provide override, stop, and manual control. And then audit, logging, and traceability. So log inputs, decisions, actions, and changes, ensure traceability and accountability. And then lastly, security and anti-tampering. So protects against attacks, manipulation, and spoofing. So secured data, models, and communications. So layers of protection. So you start with the physical layer. So safe hardware design, environmental protection, and power backup. Next is the component layer, wherein reliable hardware and diverse models and error handling. And then system layer, wherein the redundancy, health checks, and fault detection. And then application layer, safety constraints and business rules and validation logic. And then lastly, the operation layer, wherein monitoring, alerting, human oversight, and continuous improvement. So fail-safe actions when something goes wrong. For example, the data is noisy, missing, or out of range. The action should be reject the input, switch to backup source, or request new data. If the scenario is anomaly or unusual behavior detected, so meaning that raise alerts, reduce autonomy, and increase monitoring. If the situation is the model confidence is low, so do not act automatically, escalate to the human. Component or model fails, so switch to redundant system or safe default mode. Security threat or manipulation detected, isolate the system, block inputs, and alert security team. And then power communication loss, so meaning enter safe state, save data, and recover gracefully. So how it works together. So from the input, the data comes in from the sensor or users, and then check, validate the data and check the system health, and then decide, make decisions within safety constraints, and then act, so execute action with limits and monitoring, and then monitor, continuously monitor and log everything, and then react if issues occurs, trigger fail-safe response, and then recover, return to normal operations, and learn, and then feedback again to the input. Part 7, so ethical and human control reflection. So question 19, do I think humans should always remain in the loop in such systems? Why or why not? So when humans should be in the loop, these are the advantages. So high stakes or irreversible outcomes. So meaning when mistakes can cause serious harm, injury, or significant loss. Ethical, legal, or social judgment. When decision involves values, fairness, or context that machines can fully grasp. Or uncertainty or novel situations wherein when the system encounters something it hasn't seen or it isn't confident about. And then public trust and accountability. So when human oversight build trust and ensures someone is accountable. But there are systems that human does not need to be in the loop. For example, if it's low risk, routine, and repetitive tasks. So when the system is highly reliable and mistakes have minimal impact, or time critical decisions when human involvement would be too slow or could increase risk, and then proven performance and confidence when the system consistently performs well and is continuously monitored, and then scale and efficiency needs. So when the full human oversight is impractical or would limit the system's benefits. So decision guide, where to place humans. Oh, these are some of the several factors. For the risk or impact, so more likely to keep humans in the loop when it is high impact on health, on safety, finances, rights, or the environment. More likely to automate if it's low impact, reversible, or easily fixable. Example, medical diagnosis, sentencing versus spam filtering and test grading. In terms of the uncertainty, keep the humans in the loop if the system has the status high uncertainty, unfamiliar situations. And then fully automate if low uncertainty, all well understood situation. Example, disaster response, rare events versus sorting packages, formatting data, etc. And then judgment needed. So humans need to be in the loop if it's ethical, moral, cultural, or nuanced judgment. And then do it automatically if the rule-based or objective decision. Example, loan approvals, hiring versus inventory reordering, backups, etc. And then in terms of system confidence, keep the humans in the loop if it has a low confidence, frequent error, and remove human in the loop if if the system has high confidence and consistent performance. Example, new model in early stages versus mature and validated model. And then lastly is about the stakeholder expectation. So keep the human in the loop if it needs high need for transparency and human accountability, and then fully automate it if it is a low need, user accepts automation. So for example, public sector decisions versus personalized recommendations. Question 20. So who should be responsible when an AI system makes a wrong decision? So these are the shared responsibility across the AI lifecycle. So data providers. So these are responsible for the quality, accuracy, completeness, and lawful collection of the data. Example, biased or incorrect data leads to harmful outputs. Next is the developers or model builders, responsible for designing, training, and validating models that are safe, fair, and reliable. Example, flawed model or poor testing causes system errors. Next is the deployers or organizations. These are responsible for deciding how and where the AI is used and for providing oversight, resources, and governance. Example, deployed in a high-risk use case without proper checks and or control. And then operators or user, these are responsible for using the system as intended, monitoring outputs, and escalating or intervening when needed. So example, ignored warnings or over-relied on AI outputs. And then next is the oversight bodies or regulators, so responsible for setting rules, auditing systems, and enforcing standards to protect the public interest. So last is the AI system limited context. Or example, the AI system do not have legal personhood today. So responsibility remains with the humans and organizations involved. So who is most responsible? So the answer is it depends. Responsibility depends on control, foreseeability, and contribution to the harm. For example, these are several scenario and who are the most responsible and other shared responsible. So bias training data causes discriminatory decisions. Example, a hiring tool favors one gender due to historical bias in data. So meaning that the most responsible for this is the data providers because they provided the biased or unrepresentative data. So other shared responsibilities is from the developers and the deployers. Next scenario, model has a bug that causes wrong outputs. Example, the medical AI misdiagnosis due to a coding error. So the primary responsible will be the developer. So they built and tested the model. Deployers are other shared responsibility. Next is the system deployed in high risk without using proper safeguards. For example, the AI used for loan approval without human review. So these are responsible deployers and organizations. So they decided how and where the AI would be used. So shared responsibility, operators and developers. And the next scenario, operator ignore warnings and accepts wrong output. Example, the analyst ignores model confidence score and acts away. So the main responsible will be the operators or user. They were in the best position to intervene. That's the solution for that. And then regulatory knew about the risk but took no action. So meaning that the safety issue reported but no regulation or enforcement followed. So the main responsibility to I oversight bodies or regulators. So the solution should be they had authority to act and protect the public. And then lastly, the autonomous system makes an unpredictable decision despite all safeguards. So for example, self-driving car faces a rare scenario beyond training data and fails. So meaning this is about the deployers. Question 21. How can the system design control theory help addresses ethical concerns? So fairness and non-discrimination. So avoid bias or unfair outcomes. So set fairness goals, measure disparity, and correct it. So in terms of the safety harm prevention, so prevent physical or psychological harm. So add safety limits, fail safes, and stability checks. So in terms of transparency and explainability, meaning that they make decisions understandable and justifiable. So use interpretable models, monitor signals, and log decisions. And then accountability and human oversight. So ensure someone is responsible and can step in. So keep humans in the loop, set overrides rules, and audit actions. And then lastly, the privacy and data ethics. Protect personal data and rights. So meaning it minimizes the data use, limit exposure, and control access. So how control theory builds ethics into the system? So define ethical goals, turn values into clear objectives, and then set ethical constraints, define rules and limits the system must follow, and then design controller with guarantees. Use control methods to ensure stability, robustness, and safety, and then monitor and feedback. So continuously measure the performance and detect problems early, and then adapt and improve responsibly. So meaning update and learn while keeping ethics, safety, and fairness intact. So therefore, another look again for better outcome. Next, example of control tools that supports ethics. Robust control. So handles uncertainty of the system, stays reliable in real life. Constraint handling or limits. Keep actions within safe and ethical boundaries. Observers and state estimation. So estimate what's really happening to make better and safer decisions. And then adaptive control with guardrails. So learns and adopts while guardrails keep behavior ethical and safe. And then fault detection and fail-safe modes. So detect issues early and switches to safe mode when needed. Part 8. So critical thinking and personal insight. Question number 22. What do I think are the strength of the system presented in the paper? So high performance and accuracy, it delivers state-of-the-art results compared to existing approaches, consistently performs well across diverse conditions and datasets. Second is the data-driven and evidence-based. So leverages rich data and rigorous analysis. Decisions and predictions are grounded in real patterns and evidences. Then next is the robust and reliable. So built-in mechanisms handle noise, uncertainty, and edge causes. And then stable performance even under challenging or scenarios. And then scalable and efficient. So efficient algorithm and architecture enables scalability, handles large volumes of data and users without compromising performance. And the next is the adaptive and generalizable. So meaning it learns from new data and adapts over time and generalizes well to different contexts and populations. And then next is interpretable and transparent. So meaning that provides clear explanations and insights into the decisions, and then promotes transparency and accountability. Next, human-centered design. So the design with user needs and real-world workflow in mind. So supports human with actionable insight, not just prediction. And the next is the ethical responsible by design. So considers fairness, privacy, and safety, include safeguards and oversight to minimize harm. And then lastly, the practical impact and value addresses a real and important problem, demonstrate clear benefits in pilot studies or real-world use. Question 23. What are the limitations or weaknesses? So the limitations or weaknesses are lack of context understanding. The law struggle to understand human intent, culture surrender, or complex situation. Risk or of misidentifying civilians or non-combatant threats. Next is unreliable in uncertain conditions, wherein the performance can degrade in poor weather, low visibility, complex terrain, and cluttered environments. So meaning that the sensors can be fooled or blocked. Vulnerable to hacking, jamming, and spoofing. So adversaries can exploit software and communication links or sensors. System can be hacked, jammed, and spoofed or taken over time. And the next is the difficulty to ensure accountability. Hard to determine who is responsible when something goes wrong. So complex legal and moral questions with no clear answers yet. Next is limited judgment and adaptability. So laws follows pattern, not moral judgment. So they may fail in novel or rapidly evolving situations. Next is escalation and instability risks. So the speed of the machine decisions can trigger rapid escalation. So increase the risk of arms races and accidental conflict. Data and algorithm dependencies, so meaning that the quality of the data in training determines performance. Bias, gaps, and bad data lead to biased or unsafe outcomes. And the lack of human empathy and ethical reasoning, so machines cannot feel empathy, mercy, or proportionality may not weigh human values the way a person can. And then lastly, high development maintenance and cost. So complex to build, test, secure, and maintain. Long-term cost can be very high. Question 24. If I were the system designer, what improvements would I propose? So improve situational awareness and context. So fuse multi-sensors, visual, IR, radar signals, better environment understanding with AI, context-aware decision logic to reduce error. And then it could be human-centered control and oversight. So meaning I will keep the human in the loop for critical decisions, configurable autonomy levels, supervised to fully autonomous, clear, intuitive operator interfaces, and then enhances robustness and reliability. So redundant sensors and failover systems, test across more scenarios, and self-diagnosing and health monitoring. So strengthen cybersecurity and resilience. So harden against hacking, jamming, and spoofing, encrypt communications and authenticate all links, anomaly detection for cyber threats. Oops. So make decisions explainable and auditable. So explain why a decision was made, log key data, models and actions, enable after action review and investigations. Next is improve data quality and model performance. So use higher quality, diverse, and representative data. So continuously validate and update models, monitor for bias and drift over time. And then build strong safeguards and fail-safe mechanisms. So no attack zones and rules of engagement, confidence threshold before engagement, and then stay safe state, abort, and human override. And then support ethical design and compliance. So align with IHL and ethical principles, ethical review board and red teaming, and then regular compliance assessments. And then enable continuous learning and adaptation. So online learning with strict safety constraints, simulations and digital twins for testing updates, and controlled rollout of updates. Part 9, Synthesis and Future Perspective. Question number 25, how can linear system theory contribute to improving AI-based system? So first is about the stability and robustness. So analyze system stability, design controllers or constraints to keep behavior stable. So meaning it prevents unstable or unexpected AI behavior. Next is the better performance and accuracy. So use tools, example, state space feedback control to improve the speed, accuracy, and tracking. Example, the AI system respond faster and track goals better. Next is handle uncertainty and disturbances. So model disturbances and noise, design controllers or filters, example, Kalman filter, to reject them. So meaning that the AI stays reliable in noisy or changing environments. Next is the safe and constrained decision making, wherein incorporate limits on actions, states, and outputs. Ensure AI respects safety and operational constraints, meaning that safer AI that operates within allowed limits. And then explainability and transparency, meaning that the linear models are simple and interpretable, easier to analyze, verify, and explain decisions. And then lastly, efficient design and tuning. So provide systematic methods for tuning and optimization, reduces trial and error and computational costs. Question 26. What future developments do I foresee in AI-controlled system? So, for example, in terms of education, so let's have an AI tutor, wherein the AI tutor will adapt to each student and provide personalized learning. So what it will do, so understands each student's strengths and weaknesses, adjust lessons in real time, provides instant feedback, and support 24/7. So result a personalized learning for every student anytime and anywhere. And then in the field of medical field, for example, AI diagnosis and surgery, AI will help doctors detect disease early and perform precise treatments. So what it will do, analyzes X-rays, MRI scans, and lab results instantly, predicts disease before the symptoms appear, and assist in robotic surgery with high precision. And then in terms of transportation, let's have autonomous smart systems. The AI will power self-driving vehicles and intelligent transport networks. So what it will do, self-driving vehicles for safe, efficient travel, communicate with traffic signals and other vehicles, and then optimizes routes and reduces congestion. Question 27. How should engineers prepare for these emerging technologies? So first is build a strong foundation. So strengthen your core engineering fundamentals, improve skills in mathematics, statistics, and data, and then learn programming and computational thinking. Next is upskill for emerging areas. Learn AI or ML, data science, big data, explore cloud computing and edge computing, understand cybersecurity and data privacy. Next is hands-on experience matters. So meaning that you should work on real-world projects, hackathons and competitions, internships and co-ops and industry collaborators, build, test, and iterate, learn by doing. Next is develop soft skills, improve communication and storytelling, work on teamwork and cross-functional collaboration, enhance problem solving, leadership and adaptability. And then next is stay curious and keep learning. Follow tech trends, research papers and case studies, take online courses and certifications, attend webinars, workshops, and tech events. And then lastly, think sustainable and ethical, wherein the design solutions that are environmentally responsible, use technology ethically and inclusively, and then consider the impact of your work on the society. Part 10. So this is the last part of this paper review. So this is about the closing reflection. So question number 28. So what is my biggest takeaway from this paper? So it is said that the AI controlled systems are advancing rapidly and will transform the future, making it smarter, safer, and more centered across all industry. In terms, why? The reason are because the AI has a smarter decision, meaning it analyzes the data, it learns, and it makes decision better in real time. And then in terms of greater safety, because the AI improves accuracy, predicts risks, and prevents failure before they happen. Human-centered impact, the AI support humans, enhances capabilities, and improves quality of life. And industry transformation, wherein the AI will revolutionize education, healthcare, and transportation, and many more sectors. So AI is not just a technology, it is a catalyst for a smarter, safer, and better future for all. Question 29. So how has this paper changed my perspective on AI and system design? So before this paper, these are my older perspective. AI is only used as a tool. So I saw AI as just another tool or automate task. However, after this paper review, meaning that the AI can act as a collaborative partner. So I can see now that the AI as a smart partner that enhances human capabilities and decisions. Before, in terms of it only focuses, the AI can only focus on algorithms. But now it depends, it has a holistic system thinking wherein I can now focus on the entire system, the data, the model, the hardware, the context, and the user impact. System design as technical only. So I viewed system design as writing code and connecting components. However, after this review, the system design is multidimensional. So it's not just the code, it's about architecture, scalability, adaptability, and real-world constraints. And then before, I can see that the AI has a limited view on safety and reliability, but now safety, ethics, reliability matter most. And then before, human as the user, but now human AI training. Ibig sabihin that the human and the AI can work together. Question 30. In one sentence, what is my final message about the AI and control system? So AI and control systems, when designed responsibly and used wisely, can create smarter, safer, and human-centered solutions for a better future. AI are smarter, using intelligence and data to optimize decisions, predict outcomes, and solve complex problems efficiently. AI are smarter, meaning building reliable and secure systems that prevent risks, ensure stability, and protect people and the environment. And the are human-centered, meaning designing technology that empowers people, enhances well-being, and creates a positive impact on the society. And thank you for listening. And that's the end of my presentation. Um, thank you, sir.